Christmas story of my childhood.
Okay,
I,
Peter, just for a moment. I finally was able to get the live stream on Facebook and YouTube. So just if you check your Facebook, I just tagged everyone. And Lisa, I'll be sending you the YouTube link now by email.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead. Thank you.
Guyanese Christmas. I remember the Christmas story of my childhood, my Guyanese story of the birth of the Christ child. In my young mind, I really thought Jesus was born in Guyana, near a rice field with lots of pora where sheep, goats, and donkeys grazed and roamed freely. I thought the wise men came from Berbice in the east, abandoning their sheep somewhere near Blackbush, followed a star to Hope Beach on the coast to worship him in a real manger. You see, you can't blame me. I only think of Christmas in Guyana because Christmas
Yeah,
everywhere else is big.
whenever I WhatsApp the YouTube.
I remember the special Guyanese taste of ginger beer and black cake, duck curry and dal puri. I remember the carol singing at Anne's Grove Village Church, the village masquerade, brightening up the place. Bokche and Wallace, our leading musicians, waving their hankies in the air, red hankies that were once our banner of peace. I remember the toys that brought me pleasure long before the internet and TV, a soft green bumper ball, a white whistle with spinning global cork in the middle, a red balloon. I squeezed the air out of the neck to entertain myself. And when it burst, I made red cherries, rubbing them gleefully in my palm. Here in the big city, we do not see a real cow or a donkey. We just sit and stare at the TV, pretending to be happy. We have drifted from what's real, forgotten the Christmas story, the true meaning of the season, already stolen by the dazzling lights in lonely shopping malls. We must switch off those artificial lights and look to the light within, to the light baby Jesus brought into the world, to the light he brought to Guyana that once shone so brightly when we were young.
Thank
Wow.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much, Peter. You're making me long for a Guyanese Christmas now.
Peter, can you play that bumper ball in your living room
Yeah.
during winter?
Okay, so bring it back to you, Habib.
So again, ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank Peter Jailal. He is a maestro. He's a poet laureate here in Mississauga in Canada. And you know, one of the things about Peter that despite being a long career as a teacher in Canada, in Guyana, after his retirement, he actually went back to the hinterlands in Guyana to serve, to teach, to interact, and to give back to the beautiful Amerindian children. And he has written about that. And Peter, just for 2 lines only, can you say something about your experience with the Amerindian children?
Well, our children of the forest are very gentle. They paddle their canoes to school. They eat frugally. They live on fresh fish and fruits and cassava. And they are our children also, not because they're living far in the forest or in the bush, as we say. They're beautiful children. All our children in Guyana are beautiful. And that's the real future of Guyana, not the oil.
Beautiful. Well
Here,
said. That's a real
here,
resource
here.
and richness. Well, you have a beautiful segue there into Dr. Shabina Ramjan because she herself has shared a story with us of students taking the Creole and the canoe from through the Orinoco River to get to their schools in Cameroon. And that is still the story of many students traveling for hours to get to school. So Dr. Shabina Ramjan is a dentist. I know her from Guyana. We have collaborated on poetry in the past. and I'm happy to have her here with us today. I would ask her to speak about herself. But what I know is that besides all that, she attended Bishop's High School, our beautiful rival. No, 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 our collaborator, according to Rome. And she completed her bachelor's degree in dentistry at the UG. And of course, she has recently completed an award in health and safety in Nebush. And poetry is her hobby. And one of the things about Shabina I know is that despite of the challenges of traveling so far from Parica to Georgetown to Turkine to University of Guyana and the fears and the dangers that they entail, she still did it for so many years so that she could complete her degree. And I'm proud of her. And I would like her to share with us her story and her poetry.
All right, good night, everyone. Thank you, Habib. I'm so happy to be here with everyone. So, I know as a dentist, I probably have a very different point of view being on the front line and dealing with COVID positive patients, right? Because as a dentist, we don't know if they're positive or not. All I know is that I have to deliver a service. So, tonight, the first poem I'll share with you is called On the Front Line. Okay. So, on the front line since March, as a health worker, I can tell you this was a pivotal point of our past. We knew this was the beginning of a battle to be fought. Our enemy a threat we knew so little about. Our patients still the priority, no doubt. But like soldiers and captains with strategic plans, with the Hippocratic oath we took in hand, I'm sure you all witnessed doctors, nurses, and technicians fulfill their duty with compassion and dedication. On the front line, our lab coats and protective gears do not make us invincible. Our struggles are not always visible. Behind PPE, we are still human just like you. So when you see us in scrubs standing on the road at night, we are just trying to get home to our families and make sure they're all right. So when you see the nurse on her way to work, just think, remember, she has to prepare meals for her kids, and her shift definitely is not where her started. On the front line, we may all not have visible marks. The hospitals and clinics clearly and certainly aren't amusement parks. With our millions of voices, we plead with you all to stop transmission, curb the spread, listen to the words I've said. Social distance is not a stretch, but it keeps us from falling over the edge. Wearing your mask and washing your hand, it protects and saves the family from the place where I and we all stand. Thank you.
That was wonderful.
All right. So, as Habib mentioned, my award in health and safety is
Shabina,
over.
how difficult was it to take care of yourself during the pandemic?
Uh, at first, the fear is the most prominent feeling you'll probably have, but then you need to just take precautions because I still have a family too, so they're still my priority as well. So you never really get over that fear. I can go to work on Monday and be told somebody tested positive, and then I have to quarantine. So that's been life since March. So
Thank you. Thank you for
Mr.
what you did
Maru,
for us.
Yeah,
you're
thank you for your
welcome.
brave service.
The last poem I'll share with you tonight is one that, from a perspective of a student that's really enjoying the pandemic from home, because I lecture for UG and I realize when I was a student at Bishop's and now it's two totally different things. So the second poem is titled Learning in the Pandemic. Putting on school clothes each day in front of the learning channel must stay. My mother, she prays that blackout stays away.
You can't see it.
Truth be told, our minds now form new molds. The internet, our best friends, forgetting how to write with pen. Never having learned to spell, with autocorrect as the new tool, spelling will definitely not make me a fool.
I will stop it there.
School? I don't remember much of that. My eyes are bright, lit from computer screens and phone lights. Friends? I can't play with them. Home, I'm stuck. For some, that would be my good luck.
Listen, I
Deep within, I miss many things. The national anthem to sing, playing on swings, shouting in the schoolyard, clicking cricket matches where I was the star. Most of all, I miss slurping my snow cone, skipping stones in the trench. I can't even remember the feel of the school bench. Every night we watch the news. The virus has so many views. We've all been given a task to wear our mask. So I ask for my sake and my class, because I don't know how long the fudge will last at the canteen. Keep your distance. Please wear your mask.
Thank you, Shabina. So you
You're welcome.
so you used to have a galore of a party with canteen, pera, and fudge.
Yep. Yeah. I still do. Kind of bad for a dentist, right?
Jerome, you hear what's going on at Bishop's?
Pardon?
I said Jerome is feeling jealous that he didn't get out at Queen's College.
Uh,
Um, I kind of mute everybody because we're getting a feedback. So whenever you're to speak, just unmute. Thank you again. That's incredible. And Dr. Shabina Ramjan in Guyana. This now brings us to James Richmond from USA, the man that is the man of the cloth, who writes poetry and advocates with the mayor of New York for the end of the pandemic, and a man of interfaithness, a man who published on Daniel and Revelations in the Bible. He has written poetry, 3 books of poetry actually, and I want him to talk a bit about that when he comes on. But what caught my interest was one of the books that he has written is Window. It seems like this was a window to the soul. Was it the window to the soul?
Window on my soul, yeah.
Yeah, window on my soul. So you could see he's a spiritual person, and he's actually pursuing his studies as MDiv studies. Like myself, I'm in chaplaincy. James is pursuing his MDiv at Andrews University in the States. Grew up in Guyana, and he has never stopped writing. So, ladies and gentlemen, help us welcome James Richmond, who will be telling a bit about himself and sharing his 2 poems.
I was thinking that we were doing 10 poems, but Habib, thank you for having me.
All right, thank you, man. Thank you.
And my fellow panelists, it's a pleasure sharing with you today. And I must recognize Dr. Sherry, please excuse me. Janet, please excuse me. I must recognize Peter Jailad, the maestro, and the great Francis Kwame Faria.
Yes.
Uncle Francis to many of us, Jerome. So now for me, I've been writing for since I was 7 years old. So I have a whole bunch of poetry that is too much for me to even put in my bag. and of course, I have those books that I wrote over the years. I have a CD of 49 of my poems. Some of my poems can be found on YouTube as well. And I love poetry. So that is why I write. It's my great hobby. And I come from a place called Guyana, from the nigger yard of yesterday, Uncle Francis. So, and I like to talk about the heartland of Guyana. Trust me, I'm in the States, but still, Guyana is with me. I live and breathe Guyana. So my first poem is entitled "Where the Pomeroon Meets." Down the river Essequibo, where the Pomeroon meets, to get my pot of gold, my journey to complete. Under the shores, like men of yore, toiling in the sun and heat of this blessed earth, my melodic songs will seek. Like poetry and the reverent hymn with reverence meek, I bow my mud cake feet on the ground that my God did speak, and shout to the heavens, my Eldorado I found, which men seek. To journey home along my rivers, banks, and caves, my vivid dream and my Cinderella will come to talk in lofty phrase of my travels and things I have seen under the moonlit sky of the days, bringing to life a newborn, to the essence of life one's left amazed, and the things that men found can never they haven't bound and crave, like food, to return to the Pomeroon, to refill the vision of all age. All sons and daughters will journey to and always will remain in Guyana's heartland, where from the bosom remembers again, even in solitude and distant lands. And will hasten to bring fame to my beloved mother or father, my heartfelt love, a heart which bled in pain. Demerara, Berbice, Essequibo, where the Pomeroon meets, Guyana remains for me and for you and for you and for all of you. And even for those who want to claim Guyana because of the oil. And so that's a good segue into another poem that Uncle Francis liked to chastise me sometimes about. Guyana oozing oil. Where in midair dangles the famous phrase, oil don't spoil. Guyana oozing oil, it's coming from offshore. ExxonMobil, S, and many oil giants bringing it in galore. From the acclaimed Stabroek Block in the middle, Guyana on the road of fame. Like a diddle diddle. Guyana oozing oil. Remember, remember, Uncle Francis, remember it's the children's soil. Guyana oozing oil. Where the enigmatic Stabroek Block immersed in production and locked, flanked by Roraima Block of the land of the Arawak. Guyana oozing oil, continuing in the Kaicho Block of that mysterious rock, there where the Kanji Block wears its muddy shore, keeping time like a clock. Guyana oozing oil, hail to the land of many waters and its pristine alluvial soil. Guyana oozing oil, glorying still the Kanuku Block will stand in time in greater stock, a mirroring of the Quarantine Block, wise like a trending song on locks. Guyana oozing oil, standing guard of his luscious beauty, unspoiled. Guyana oozing oil, far across the Orendu Block, barreling through the flooded dock, hoist the gas upon the land from the bedrock. Must obtain full benefit, for it all interlocks. Guyana oozing oil, the Guyana basin of washing crude oil. Where is the refinery, my friends and family? It's our soil. Up from the mighty Demerara Block, rise up, sons and daughters of this blessed rock. Be vigilant. Black gold course can kill and cause havoc. Guyana oozing oil, as a nation, we must toil to rule the vanity of the heart and foil, dispelling the essence of failure and mock, as we rest upon Pomeroon's solid block. Guyana oozing oil, don't run from the fiddle or jump the moon. The dogs will laugh with joy if the dish run away with the spoon. Guyana oozing oil, who must get the oil that's oozing? Mouth open, story jump out accusing. The old woman in Shitanka walking. The oil cane cutter in bush that left crying. The poor teacher who taught the politicians everything. The retirees with little pension or next to nothing. Who must get the oil that's oozing? The old woman singing, a little more oil in my lamp, keep it burning. A little more oil in my lamp, I pray, all right. A little more oil in my lamp, keep it burning. Keep it burning till the break. Guyana oozing oil. While Guyana oozing oil, the youth in utter turmoil. When will there be a better day? Whilst Guyana oozing oil, on my knees I'll pray. Who will enjoy the good life? What about our politics and strife? Guyana oozing oil for the country? Or for the myriads of political party. Guyana oozing oil, keep oozing, keep oozing. Let's see who'll be held accountable. From Borbies, Demerara, and Essequibo, it's going to be big, big trouble. Are you watching? Look at me opposing. Are you watching? Guyana oozing oil. All right. You know, it's a pleasure to share tonight. I don't want to take too much time. I can.
James, the amount of time you said Guyana oozing oil, I think it don't reach Toronto. And
Yes, they come into Toronto because trust me, all the money that the foreigners take in there, they're bringing it back to Canada.
I love your stuff, man. I love your
Definitely.
energy, your spirit, and most importantly, you have captured the current imagery, crisis, as well as hope of the Guyanese population
Yeah.
when it comes to the Black Gold. So thank you again.
And I will share one last one. Allow me.
Okay, before you go, James,
Yeah.
brothers and sisters on the show, if anyone would like to volunteer to give up a chance, Pitamber Prasad is awaiting to join the room, and I can only have 10 persons maximum at a time. Thank you.
I will do one and then I can leave.
Thank you.
All right. I'll do like Amazon Rain, I dance. Politics must not stop the dreams of a people. Hope even lies in the heart of a cripple. Dance the story of unity. Unity in your hands lies Guyana's destiny. Drums! Drums of Guyana. One people, one nation, of one destiny. Drums! Amerindian drum, African drum, Indian drum, the Tassa drum, comfort drum, masquerade drum, the drums of Guyana. When you hear the drums, like Amazon rain, I dance. For the Amerindian drum tells the inspirational story of mystical legends and bequeathed legacy. This is the history. This is the history. I dance the dance of an old Amerindian. I dance the dance of an old Amerindian. Like Amazon rain, I dance, for the African drum becomes my soul. The tropical spirit I now behold, jubilant and enchanted, revisiting time and times of old. I dance the dance of an old African. I dance the dance of an old African. Like lightning in the rain, I dance, for the Indian drum becomes my dream and rose like a mystical streak of vision unseen, a vision of light with gongrus and sari. I dance the dance of an old Indian. I dance the dance of an old Indian. Like clouds of fire, I dance, for the comfort drum speaks to me. Spiritual flames across the floor, resurrected and free. I dance the dance of comfort. I dance the dance of comfort. Like Amazon rain, lightning, and clouds of fire, I dance, for the masquerade drums awake my soul. Unity is here foretold. Unity is the laudable goal. My tropical spirit, like flickering lights, unfold. Now dance the dance of Guyana. Uncle Francis, dance the dance of Guyana.
Boy, you make us have nostalgia with the old dance.
Dance the dance, Janet. Dance the dance, Lisa. Dance the dance of Guyana, Peter. Dance the dance of Narendra. Dance, Abby. Oh, okay, Patamba, you're coming.
That should be put to music.
I can't. See you later.
Beautiful, beautiful. Hey, James, before you go, tell us a bit about the origin of Mother Sally dance during the Christmas time in Guyana.
Boy, you got to ask Uncle Francis that question.
Uncle
Uncle
Francis.
Francis, I defer to you. Unmute yourself, Uncle Francis. I defer to you. Somebody need to help Uncle Francis to unmute.
I was just sharing that story of how we celebrate Christmas in Guyana with the masquerade with a set of Canadians, and they were amazed.
Uncle Francis could give you a detail. I wouldn't
Okay.
But
Okay.
whenever he's unmuted, you can do
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
I like to allow the distinguished Patamba to come in. So I'll take unmute.
Okay. Back to you, Dr. Sherry Etwaru. And again, ladies and gentlemen, kindly join with me in applauding this well-spirited young man from New York City whose Guyanese roots is knotted with the black gold, and it's oozing in our souls here tonight, letting our feet, our minds, and our souls dance on the platforms wherever we are in nostalgia of what Christmas and New Year's and every day during this year would have made for us in our pictures, in our photos, in our memories that we have had before. Thank you, James.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so we're going into our intermission. Is that
Janet?
correct?
Janet?
Oh. Habib?
I don't think we have that, so it will be Janet.
Okay, so I'll go into Janet. Okay, all right, so our next reader, okay, there's so much I can say about this next reader, but there's a limit in time, so I've just chosen the highlights. So as you know, Janet Naidu is the founder of the Pakaraima's Writers Association, and she's also the former president, and she's a published poet and author. And she's also academically published in the Gender Studies Journal. So I think there's a theme here tonight. And one of her publications was shortlisted for the Guyana Prize for Literature. She holds a BA in Caribbean Studies and an LLB, and we are extremely happy to have her here tonight. So, Janet.
Thank you, Sherry. Thank you, Habib. Thank you, everyone. Lovely to get together like this. After listening to James, I feel I'm rocking and shaking now. I don't know if I'll be able to. Okay, well, let me just start with going right into my reading. The first poem I'm going to read is a reflection of a sad experience in an Amerindian village. And one thing I do want to say about, some of us migrants, and I think it was echoed before, is that, and I think James also talked about it, is our love for Guyana, that we've left there, we've left the shores, but we really haven't left the shores. And so, many of the poems I write are a reflection of that. So this one is called Upland Savannah on the Longest Road. My feet planted on the land under the kamaka tree. On this cloudy day, bones on the ground, all so gray, as if branches severed in their prime. What hangs here, I ask? No sound, no wind. I heard you broke down and fell in a hush that night. Still, in this silence, I now hear your call in Waiwai and in Wapishana, crying for something different. You show me 1,000 more bones underground. No one felt the heat in your body that day. When they threw you to the ground, no one rushed to rescue you from the grip of terror. Your name only came after the rainstorm, known only to few survivors, barely walking. They point to stones stained in red. You stood behind the tent with your shoulders slumped. Migwan, is that you under the kamaka tree? You bring me pepper pot and cassava bread. Again, you bring me pepper pot and cassava bread today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So as you said,
I can get some
physically, but not spiritually.
but not cassava.
Don't worry, it coming. Okay, the second poem is called, I know, Habib, I'm not going to take up a lot of time, but I have to read my poems tonight.
Good. Please do. That's what we're here for.
This is about a woman navigating her domestic space. It's called Chandani's thumbprint. Chandani holds the pot spoon wherever she goes. In her bedroom, She makes vows before sunrise, singing to herself, all to keep her bosom calm. At the fireside, tired from sleepless nights before, she makes dal and rice and bhaji to nourish her husband, blessing the food in saucepans for his journey into the cane fields. A woman has no time for afternoon breeze on the veranda. The vegetable garden awaits her strong hands. She fills her basket and makes her own path, walking bare feet for miles to the market, all to earn her own wages. Why are those hands so heavy and red across her neck? Answer me now. In her belly, unseen torture, silence, again and again. She counts the days and thinks of her children on the edge. She buys pencils and books and shoes for their entrance to school. Her only consolation is this privilege, to push for her children's education, her girls especially. Chandni knows limitations, but she works out everything. She looks for the moon every night. Now comes her husband's silence. She puts her thumbprint on the front door, on every window, high up on the ceiling. She walks for miles. Every step she takes for the house and land in her name. Gone are the days of outrage. Each step, a breath of fire. Each step, a woman who dares. Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Jana, tell us a bit more about a woman who dares.
That's right.
Not to worry, Patama. Okay, I'm gonna read this this poem. This poem brings me to a space that has actually engulfed me, and particularly too in my career for more than 2 decades. Hearing me, Habib?
Oh, you know what? I think there's a bit of feedback. Okay, so maybe we'll just put everyone on mute, Habib?
Yes. Go ahead.
Okay, you hearing me?
Yes.
Thank you. I guess I was saying that for more than 2 decades, I've been in the field of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I know what it feels like to carry the boulder up the mountain in the corporate world. And we are in a different time. I'm seeing some change, but I'm not too sure of the future, just that we will have hope for the future. This poem actually was written, dedicated in the memory of George Floyd, an African American. I mean, who needs to describe who he is, who was killed in Minneapolis by a white police officer. It's called Blown Away. For generations, the eye of justice would not open. In the courtroom, the plastic gavel made no sound. The cry of the innocent often muffled a man taken out by a noose. Now, torture starts with a handcuff. It does not hide under a white cloth. It does not sneak around at night. No, no, no. In bright daylight, it delivers unwritten rules. Take him down, make him pay. For what? Will justice be washed away? Oh, resisting arrest, they all powered away. Only a bruise on his cheek, they may say. Lynching comes now with bodily blows. When a Black man pleads, I can't breathe. Racial injustice hammers another noose. From all corners of the world, we hear your last breath, choked out, like a leaf in the wind, just blown away. How long must we endure this dark tunnel? Will this torture stop pouring out? When will justice show its face? This day in May, the tulips are blooming. The concrete ground marks your last breath. We are all sleepless now. Our tears keep rolling down. Only the Lord is our shepherd. Thank you.
No,
Only our Lord
huh?
is our shepherd.
Not sure. Maybe.
Janet,
Yeah.
can you sing a Christmas carol instead?
No, I can't sing today.
Beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome, Patan. You're welcome, Habib.
Go ahead, Sherry. So
That's Sherry.
next up is Pitamber Prasad. I know Mr. Pitamber Prasad as
This is Sherry.
one who. Pitamber, are you on the StreamYard?
That's it. Yeah. All right.
Pitamber,
And that's
are you there? No, he hasn't joined. I did send him by email the link just a minute ago.
Okay, yeah, so why don't we just go to our next guest?
Yeah, Janet, can you try and get on to him?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Habib?
Yeah.
Okay, so our segue, so we'll get back to Pitamber. So Habib, so I would like to reintroduce my amazing co-host, Habib Ali. He's quite modest, but to date, he has 25 publications. He's an author and a poet, and a graduate of Queen's College, as you guys know, and he also holds a bachelor and master's degree. In his spare time, Habib is a human rights activist and is the current president of the Pakaraima Writers Association. So Habib, you are our next reader.
Thank you. Thank you. That was very kind of you. What I would like to do instead of reading my poem, I want to honor Gail Clem. She actually went what do you call it? She experienced sickness suddenly this week when she contacted me, and she had to undergo surgery. So she sent me two of her poems, and I said in honor of her and what she's going through, and as a great Guyanese writer, that I will read one of her poems. It's called I Am SARS-CoV-2. A new virus. My disease is COVID-19, and I know no boundaries. I am a leveler of rich and poor, black and white, CEO and cotton picker. From Wuhan I come, spreading my limbs, blazing a trail across land and sea. Under my new name, COVID-19. I strike fast and deadly, rapidly did I spread. Many welcomed me, they ignored the warnings. Others did not with their mask, social distancing and shutdowns. They slowed my rage and killed some of my branches, but I lived on. Thanks to those who welcomed me, I ran rampant, seeking opportunities for life under the guise of a fever and chills here, and a dry cough there, headaches, body pains, and loss of taste and smell. My journey is long. I have traveled far. I should be winging down, but others still welcome me. So I live on and on and on in every city of every nation. In your collective tragedy, I have brought valuable good. I have brought unity to families. I have brought people reaching out to people. I have brought people back to their God on bended knees, making time to pray daily. I brought family and friends together. common bond and worry and shared concern for the shut-ins, the sick, the dying, supporting, comforting family and friends, and crying and mourning the death of a loved one. On my journey, I gave the environment a breath of fresh air to restart itself to its former glory without man's input. For others, I gave a glimpse of was. For others, I gave a glimpse of what was the Punjab, her majestic Himalayas, Paris, an unclouded Eiffel Tower, Kathmandu, the beauty of Langtang Range, NYC's Big Apple, clean air and sleep, New Delhi, an unshrouded Indian Gate War Memorial downtown, LA, clear blue skies, Jakarta, much less smug, you can see the skyline. Manila, 180% drop in fine particle matter or its deadliest air pollutants. Some things you discovered are no longer important in life. Clothes we wear, PJs and house clothes abound. PJs at Christmas time, eh? The clothes we wear, PJs and house clothes abound. The car we drive, it is parked in the garage. Look of the house we live in, you cannot go outside. The money we have in the bank and nothing to spend it on but food and food hampers. The job we worked hard to get, that corner office is empty and you're currently working from home. What matters is who you have at home with you. Living together, working together, cooking together, sitting around as family and praying and eating together, building closeness and happy times together, finding that spark, joy, and energies of yesteryear to enjoy today, bringing your lives back together and rebuilding anew again for the longevity of your love. I will have passed through this life as the great 2020 pandemic compared to the Spanish flu of 1918. And although I left a great number dead, I left positive changes for this new life after I'm gone. Closer unity, enduring friendships, and understanding among family and friends. Realization that things are not important, they are just nice to have. An understanding and empathy for those in need and injustice. The valuable role played by our front lines to keep us safe. Closer relationship with God and an improved spirituality. An understanding of man's relationship with the environment. Keeping a backup mask, gloves, etc. in hand at all times. And most importantly, the next time you hear about me or about a member of my family about to visit, act promptly and responsibly. Go forth, live, enjoy your life to the max with the lessons learned from my brief passing on this earth. Gail Clement, also known as Patsy Rose Robinson.
Okay. Okay. I don't know about you guys, but I love Habib's rendition of anyone's poems. So anyway, thank you. Thank you very, very much.
Yes,
all right.
Thank you. Thank you. And that's, again, in honor of Gail. I would like to invite Lisa Fremantle. Now, this girl, when she contacted me, she was so excited. She couldn't stop emailing and messaging and calling to get it right. Up to this moment, she wants to get it right for our family and friends. So family and friends of Lisa Fremantle, if you didn't get the link, if you didn't get the update, if you didn't get any one of you able to watch her today, blame it on Habib. But I tried. So we are very grateful to have Lisa on the program here today. She is a published author at the York Region Catholic School. She has published immensely, but most recently she has been written since childhood, her poetry, and today she's getting a chance to share it. And two things about Lisa I want to share with you is that we all heard about today there was a celebration for Martin Carter in Guyana, the national poet of Guyana. She is the daughter of Martin Carter's cousin, and many more beautiful things about Lisa that I wrote here. Her father is the famous Dr. Douglas Thompson, nephrologist, and Burl Thompson, that is the niece of Thompson, who Francis Kwame recently listed as one of the last red men. Francis, you got to explain to me what you mean by the last red men. Lisa has directed 10 musicals and also composed numerous literacy-based and liturgical songs, and has produced a number of CDs. Lisa has been writing poetry since she was a child. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome a teacher from the Greater Toronto area on the Catholic School Board who has written about children's education, teens education, and now today she's sharing with us the beautiful songs of the Pakaraima writers literary medley. Go ahead, Lisa.
Unmute, right? You gotta unmute yourself. Yeah.
I do that. Here you go. Yes.
Can you hear me
Yes.
now? Perfect.
I see you as
Okay.
well.
Okay, and you can see me.
Oh,
That's
you have some
great.
fans. You have
Thank you
some
very much
fans.
for
Benjamin is rooting for you here. I said Benjamin is rooting for you.
Okay, that's great. Yes, like many of the other people here, I've been writing since I was very, very small. I was a child. I also sing. I play piano. I love jazz. And I read and I write every day. I love the taste of words. I just love to write. But this will be the first time that I've ever shared my poems publicly. I often share them with my uncle, Lester Fernandes, my mom's brother, who hopefully is watching this. He was the one who actually told me to come to this venue and share my poetry. I share with friends. I also share with my close family, but this is the first time I've done it publicly. I tend to write not necessarily autobiographical things, but certainly things on the human condition, loosely based on some experiences, but more often it's looking through the windows of others and their experiences. And what I write a lot is also to the natural world, and because there's just so much scope there. And the last thing I want to say before I read my first poem is that my poems are like my children. I love my poems, even if they're bad or good, even if they don't do what I want, or they don't convey the messages that I want, or people don't like them or make fun of them. It doesn't matter. I still love them anyway, and I hope you like them too. So the first poem that I'm going to share, I have two short poems for you, a lot shorter than some of the other ones. But these first two poems that I'm going to do, the first one's called The Evolution of Rain. And it is a whimsical comparison between rain and life's journey, right from infancy to seniority. And sometimes you can decide where you are on that continuum, but sometimes I feel like I'm at the end of that continuum. But at any rate, if you think of rain, rain can be drizzly and light, or gentle and steady, or a heavy downpour, or a really angry, stormy drenching, like a belligerent teenager. And it's from thinking of that I started to write this poem. So for my very first public reading of some of my poetry, I would like to read for you The Evolution of Rain. This was written on June 7th of this year. The Evolution of Rain. Drip, 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 drop, the infant. Teasing source of greenery trickle, drizzly dew, wee wetness tickle, spitter patting napping, tentative tiny lapping, germinate. The child. Playful impish in pools and puddles, dawdling droplets, muddy cuddles, splashing innocent foliage flow, plantlets sprouting, time to grow, frolic. The adolescent. Cocky, stormy, gush, cloudbursts, torrential tempers, stamp, loud firsts, driving drench, no license yet, swishing, sashaying, all just wet. maturing. The parent. Cleansing dirt-filled earthy floor, quenching younglings gently pour, patient nurture propagate, proudly view new life create, Mother Nature. The senior. Sleepy seepage, old vines creepage, irregular dabbling, incoherent babbling, dribble. All drowsy drowse, time for rest, drip, 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 drop.
Drip, 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 drop.
Oh, how'd I do for my first one?
I
Hopefully.
say you, and I tell you, mic drop, mic drop.
The mic.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Okay.
And the animation really
The poem
helps.
I've been asked to read is a very difficult one. It's very different from the first. It's a difficult one to read because it deals with a very serious subject that unfortunately it happens more often than we think. It is written from the child's perspective, the child's point of view, and not the perpetrators. And that's because often in this situation, the child's voice is not heard. It's called Hatred Came in the Night, and it was written on July 10th of this year. Hatred came in the night. Salty with sweat, brutal indeed, wicked in intent, evil hunger to feed. Fingers of fear creeping, expectant one afraid, not sleeping. Then silent pain, an inner scream, inaudible, no sound. Agony arose when hatred would pound. Eyes on blue walls all around the room. White curtains of innocence shone amidst the gloom. Paper-thin, tender veneers signaled the close, then a re-zipping and realigning of clothes. Left behind, crimson stains darkening by morn, small weeping form, quiet, forlorn, and a lingering sting and a stench of recall. Remember, stay good, you mustn't tell all. Time for rest now, a slight dulling of pain. Sigh, a short blessed respite, until hatred comes again. Thank you. That's it. So I'm done.
Short respite. What's that respite about?
A short rest before hatred arrives again.
Like a broken necklace, like Janet's necklace.
I guess so. A little bit of a rest.
Can you tell us the context of that? Was that a George Floyd situation?
No, because it's a child being raped at night.
Oh.
So not a George Floyd, but from a children's point of view or a child's point of view, being afraid to tell, being afraid to say anything, and just enduring.
Very, very critical and important issue, especially you who teach children, right?
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, that's still a huge social ill of children being assaulted and not able to speak, and it creates trauma in their lives in latter years. Thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. Can you help me to thank Lisa Fremantle? She says she is she's a newbie to this program, but she sounds like a pioneer. So, thank you, and we hope to have you again. Okay. What do you say, Janet?
Oh, unmute. Got to unmute herself. Okay. All right. So, for our last, I guess, reader on our list, last but not least, I like to say that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. We heard from his father earlier on, Peter Jailal, and now we're going to hear from his son, Nari Jailal. He's a graduate of Ryerson University and York University, and he's an elementary school teacher with the Peel District School Board. And for all the teachers that are here or that work for the school boards right now, I say, I'm in the profession, but kudos to all of you that are working in kindergarten to grade 12 and all of the essential work that you're doing, especially now in this time of COVID. So anyway, I just wanted to, Nari enjoys reading, writing, and traveling and cooking, and he will be reading for us this evening. Nari, welcome.
Hi, thank you. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay. I'm just going to read a part of the book that I put out recently. I don't know if people can see that. Maybe I should change the...
More. Yeah. Okay, great. The Woods Are Watching?
Yeah. Yes, it's my children's novel I wrote recently. I published recently. It's classified or considered a children's novel, but I think it has something in it for everybody. There are different themes that the book addresses, the environment, supernatural, things like that I think readers of all ages can enjoy. And the story is about a girl named Danica who moves to a new neighborhood and community, and she's struggling to adjust her new neighborhood and her school. And there are different things that happen to her along the way. There's the usual struggle to make friends and fit in, as I said. And the part I wanted to read is, I'll just read a short part from the book, is when she makes a new friend and things seem to be going pretty well. And then she and the friend are walking home from school, and then the friend proposes an idea to her, and I'll share that part with you at this time. Danica's friend is named Lynn, and they're both locker partners. And they're walking home one day after school, and I'll read that part. It says, "We passed some houses and got to a four-way intersection. A crossing guard walked with us, and then we continued along the sidewalk. 'Do you have a lot of homework?' Lynn asked. 'No, not much, if you mean textbook questions,' I said. 'I have a project and a test coming up.' 'You think you'll be finished by next weekend?' she asked. 'I guess.' I looked at her. 'Why?' 'I'm having a sleepover and was hoping you could come,' Lynn said. I became excited. 'Wow, cool, that's a great idea.' 'It'll be next Friday at 6. I'm inviting 2 other girls from our school. No one to worry about. I think you'll like them.' 'Okay, I'll ask my dad tonight,' I said. 'I think he'll be okay with it.' Lynn said, 'We'll watch a movie, listen to some tunes, and have pizza. And you don't need to bring a sleeping bag. There's so many air mattresses in my house. It's like a bouncy castle.' I laughed. 'I can't wait.' Lynn's block was coming up on the left. Mine was a few minutes away. Lynn said, 'There's something else I wanted to ask you,' she said. 'What's that?' I asked. 'Do you believe in ghosts?'
Hello?
The chapter ends that way. And my aim was to try to get readers to continue reading on, and finding out what happens next, because it's a bit strange that Danica's friend would invite her over to a house for a sleepover, and then the friend asks, 'Do you believe in ghosts?' So it goes on from there into the 3rd chapter about what happens. And as I said, there are different themes in the book that I think will appeal to everybody, and that's about it. It's available online, or you can contact me directly, and if you're interested in a copy. And yeah, I hope many people read it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for sharing. Okay. All right.
Thank you, Nari.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit more about the book. You said it's available online, but what inspired you to talk about the woods that are watching you?
The main purpose for writing it was just that I wanted to, just wanted to tell a story I thought many people would be interested in.
Join, please.
I'm sorry? Yeah. Can
Sorry,
you hear me? Am I breaking up?
Yeah, continue. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. The main point of writing the story was to
Okay, but I have an award for you. I wanted you to be there when we say thank you to you.
Sorry about that.
Can you just click on the last thing that can you please?
I did want to ask, in terms of when you wrote the book, did you have an age group in mind, or was it just like a span in terms of
You could do it where
age
what?
ranges?
No, you the new link. Just click on it.
I did, yeah. I had the ages 9 to 13 in mind, and then
Okay.
the more I thought about it, and the more I read the book, I realized that this is something that other people, different age groups, could be interested in, and I think because it has so many relatable themes, as I pointed out earlier. So hopefully people can take the time and read it and see what they think.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you for sharing. So Habib, we'll bring it back to you.
Yeah, so Pitamba just told me he will be joining. He waited too long, got tired. So because we have a special surprise for Pitamba, I was just hoping that he will join. So let's wait. In the meantime, Francis, could you unmute yourself?
Yes, I hope I'm unmuted.
So we have to go to Jerome. Did we get Jerome as yet? We have Jerome coming up. Francis, in the meantime, can you please tell us the origin of the Mother Sally?
Well, these were all part of the, what should I say, the culture that were brought over from Africa. Many people tend to believe that the Africans, when they were brought to the West, I don't want to say New World because people were living there. So that's a misnomer to say the New World. Many of the different peoples from Africa maintained some of their culture, especially in the arts, in terms of music and dance and that sort of thing. And there's always a misunderstanding that slaves, quote unquote, I prefer to say enslaved people, were dunces, so to speak. People were, okay, let's say, for example, if all of us were gathered up by some powerful force and taken and dumped into a slave environment, would that take our knowledge away? No. So people tend to have this idea that, and this includes African people, some Africans in this part of the world, that our forebears were idiots. Nonsense. Coffee, for example, I did some in-depth research about coffee. Even us African people, Black people, tend to say, oh, the house slave. Coffee was quote unquote and house slave. He worked in the kitchen. And I like to say, tell me this, if you're enslaved and some of us work in the fields and a few of us worked in the house slave, those who worked in the house, did they apply for the job? Was it a job that was put up for application? I would like to work in the house. No, the master decided, okay, you work in the house, you go work in the field. So when people say certain things, it really annoys me. You like a house slave. Give me a break. You just happen to be chosen to work in the house. Quite true. There's some people, when they get in the house, they feel they're better than the guys in the fields. I'm not denying that. But to use that term so loosely, I always refer to the Guyanese hero Coffee. And how do you sort of come to some decision in your mind. How was it that Coffee, who was a quote unquote house slave, led the revolution? And it's simple. Simple meaning he's working in the house. Master comes home at 9 or whatever the night, grinning from ear to ear, and start to give revelation what which one of the slaves he just had a wonderful time with. And that rage built up in Coffee. And Coffee, a house slave, started the revolution. So we got to be very careful when we're classifying people and that sort of thing. We have to give it deep thought.
You're saying
So Coffee,
Mr. Francis, what you're saying is what Dr. Van Sertima has written about. They came before Columbus. The Moors, who are part of the North African experience, and more so the Mali Empire, they came from a very rich, sophisticated, and scientifically based civilization. And therefore, for Coffee and others in Guyana and the rest of the Caribbean, they brought with them their Arabic knowledge, they brought with them their reading and the literacy, their war skills and the military skills and all these things of civilization. But of course, Afrocentric studies have not allowed us to see that beauty, and we become self-humiliating when we study our own Afrocentric books in the Caribbean. So thanks for saying that. That is a beautiful segue to Dr. Jerome Branch, a man that is from my own alumni, Queens College, and he taught at the University of Guyana, he taught at the University of Kentucky, and currently he's a professor at the University of Pittsburgh in Latin American Studies. His books include books on coloniality and Afro-Latin American literature and culture. I am very pleased to know this brother, Professor and Dr. Jerome Branch. Alan Claremont is his middle name. And I'll be interviewing him, a full interview on our webinar this coming Wednesday. Over to you, Jerome.
Please unmute yourself.
That better?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. I was saying that I just heard about Pakaraima and I am highly impressed, and I want to congratulate you for all the work that you're doing. Thanks to Habib for the invitation, and thanks to Janet also for sharing some of her work with me. Okay. I have two poems, all right? Two poems for friends that I lost along the way. One of them was a street poet, and the other one was a professor, a guy I used to work with at UG. They were both very deeply concerned about, well, Guyana politics. As you would know, as Guyanese politics have always been deeply troubling, right? So then in the 20th century and just as much now. So the first poem is called On Stabroek. I grew up on the East Bank, so if you grew up on the East, well, anywhere in Demerara, Stabroek is a main hub for transportation. You catch a minibus and so on and so forth. I mention it because it was a period in which it was a very noisy, well, it still is a very noisy place, but you would hear the sound systems playing music at very loudly, right? And it was a place for gathering, social gathering, and liming and so on, and on Stabroek. So somebody talked about suicide earlier, and this is the person here was a young man who got desperate and took his life in the end. Mikey verse thirst. Thirst like time on Stabroek, stinging all your noses. Thirst with rhyme on Stabroek, withering your roses. mocking all your poses. My key verse first was dainty, with daffodils and little white lilies floating. Victoria region, gloating, smiling, sweet, serene, muse, so white and clean. But my key verse course, because when he moved from petals to politics, he found no ears for gospel. He found no flowers in breakdown prison cell. My key bubble burst. And so my key run past rage, run past wrath, run past Stabrook, raving. Can't remember all the turns he took. You can't remember how he used to look before the stoppy chant, before he start to rant, before he scramble and look for little reggae relief on Stabrook.
Wow. Jerome, how do you run past Stabrook?
When you're mad, you run past any place.
I get you, brother.
Right around.
And I brothers and sisters, a moment of silence on behalf of Mikey.
Yeah, you're gonna have to offer another moment of silence too. This one is called Requiem for Theo. Theo Morris is a fellow QC alum, a colleague of mine used to teach at UG. Well, he died of natural causes, but you know, we used to, well, you know, young Guyanese, you meet on the street corner, you talk about politics and so on and so forth. And so much of it is about leaving Guyana and the nostalgia and going back and trying to change things and so on, and becoming frustrated over the fact that, you know, nothing really changes. Anyway, Requiem for Theo. There was no message in the bottle, so we grasped at straws, and not finding any, slowly went under. No talking tablets telling the road to Ayangana's summits of serenity. I remember when we voted with our feet, kicking off snowstorms until they ran like water off a duck's back. But triumph was transitory. The constant looking over the shoulder, navel string could only stretch so far. So, snow up to our ears, we set sail for home. In Baibadai, Kurapong Landin, Mahadia, Singles to Adventure, Ayangana, and the summits of serenity. For a while, our spirits buoyed, naming victories one by one. We even thought our ships had passed the islands. Blue seas would turn to brown. Then we hit some rocks off Demerara. His Alma and Jack went down.
Alma and Jack went down. Where that saying came from? The man of linguistics.
I want you to think about it.
I'm gonna put you and Dr. Sherry to have that conversation.
Well, the only thing about that I would like probably to mention is that there was a quality about poetry. One of the more distinguishing. I'm only saying this because I teach literature, right? Not because of anything. One of the things about poetry is that you use normal language, but it becomes poetic when you put it in a different context and with a different meaning. You know, when there's a little spark of something different. That's where everyday language becomes poetic. You know? I see some of that in Janet Naidu, because she shares some of her work.
Beautiful. I love how Canada is exporting to America.
We love how Guyana is exporting to Guyana, sir.
Oh, yes.
From
Oh,
East
yes.
Bank, you know.
Covent Garden. Yes. And Janet,
That's right.
mother, you know, the amazing woman I met from Covent Garden. Dr. Shar, you have any comments? Your colleague here, Dr. Jerome.
Not right now, but offline for sure. We definitely it will be a conversation for later.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Jerome, Dr. Jerome, from Pittsburgh University. What a beautiful rendition of two poems, both in memory of two loved ones, and a moment of silence for both. Now we are meeting this icon of Guyana, a man that you see on television every week, a man that has won the literary prize in Guyana. He has written for children, he's written poetry. And more recently, he got elected as the president of the Guyana Heritage Society. I would love for you to help me welcome Pitamber Prasad all the way from Guyana. Despite the challenges that we heard earlier today in Guyana, he is here with us. I'm sure he celebrated Martin Carter today. I'm sure he had his TV show. I'm sure he had his magazine, busy working on it, and loads of other stuff he always is involved in. I would love him to say something about himself before he shares with us a poem. And we have a surprise for him today. You know, when we come together like this in this room, despite it's virtual, despite the distance, there's a sort of spiritual energy that brings us together and binds us together. And for someone like Pitamber to grace his presence with us here today, despite of the early challenges, it tells us that there's a certain grace and spiritual power that is entrenched in each and every one of us here that will make a difference for our beautiful country of Guyana. So Pitamber, over to you.
Unmute.
You need to unmute yourself.
The bottom.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening, Pitamber.
Yeah, after that introduction, I don't think I can go on. Habib, you better go on. What else can I say?
I tried to make up for the lost.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. This is the new normal, and we must take advantage of this new normal, this new way of meeting. It is so good to be among. I mean, look at the distance, and look, we are here together in one community. It means a lot to us. There's so much we can get done now, and just because of a pandemic. So there is something good coming out of the pandemic. Having said that, please stay safe where you are.
Yes. We get a.
You're reading a poem, Pitamber?
Yeah, he will read
yes, I would love to do something. Yeah.
Yes, and then Janet Naidu will take it from there. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, Pitamber. Well, everyone, I just want to say that we have a very special guest in the room who joined us at the last part of the program. And as we say, we save the last for the best. We save the best for the last. That's it. Save it. Pitamber, you're looking very good. We share what you're doing in all the spices and stuff that going on in Guyana, eh? Well, I've known Pitamber for a very long time. When we first met when I came to Guyana to launch my first book of poems, and I think it was 2001. And what I found about Pitamber is that this is a gentleman who, will go out of his way to help you with your literary interests when you get to Guyana. Find a bookstore for you, know where to do your readings, give you an interview on his program, which Pitamber did. And there's so much to learn about Pitamber. He's definitely a person who's very entrenched in the literary arts in Guyana. He has been writing for the Chronicle. He's written, he's done a program called Oral Tradition. That's on the television station.
Yeah.
which stimulates the interest in maintaining focus on the local literary landscape of Guyana.
That's a good description. Hmm.
That's a good description. If Pitamber, forgive me if I have not done my research on everything I know about you, but don't worry, I'm a senior investigator. I'll be doing my investigation after today.
Thank you, Janet.
You're welcome. And Pitamba also was the 3 times elected, nominated to be the editor of the Guyana Christmas Annual, which is one of the very older magazines, longest magazines, I should say. And I was fortunate to get a few copies, and maybe you could tell us too about that later on, when we can expect more copies of newer ones, latest ones. The other thing I'd like to share is that Pitamba continuously to work to be in touch with writers home and abroad, and bringing home to the local writers those of us who have migrated decades ago and we continue to write. So to have those local writers know about those of us who are living abroad. And, I've been fortunate to read some of his written collection of information about writers. And Pitamba, today the Pakaraima Writers Association would like to really recognize your contribution to the literary heritage of Guyana. And in that regard, we are presenting you with a certificate of excellence and to proudly congratulate you for being elected president of the Guyana Heritage Society, now in its 36th year. And it's really for your contribution, not only as a writer, but for an activist and the activism role you have played in promoting Guyana's literature. So this is a certificate we have for you. It will be sent to you electronically. Make sure you frame it and put it on the wall. You hear me? So congratulations from all of us tonight, and especially from Habib and from myself at Pakaraima and all of us, Sherry as well, and everyone here. Congratulations.
And
Thank you so very much. Thank you. What can you say? Oh boy, I can count the number of awards on my one hand, so this one will be special also. I'm glad that you can recognize my work.
Thank you.
Okay, so we understand you're going to read something for us?
Yes, right now.
And read plenty, you hear? Nothing short.
Well, they're all short pieces. All right, this is called God Does Laugh Too. All right, let me get it. Thief from thief make God laugh, haha. He liked things like poetic justice, pyrrhic victory. He loved Nemesis, Echo, Tantalus. He likes see sweet meat choke dog, jealous bait, and backlash. He make them things for his own amusement, cause art is still God's footstool that he just put people down on sometimes. But he like to sit back in the Barbie's chair and they laugh too. God does laugh. There is a word in Standard English, umpteen. In Guyana, we say fat 11. Fat 11. And this is how it goes. Only a little child knows the real meaning of fat 11. It's so much time big people just ringy ears, pulley hair, kanksy head, and shout funny. Only a little child knows what is fat 11 blows. Hold on. for being fought 11 times unwilling, fought 11 times hard days, fought 11 times a child without rights. That's for the children. Be careful how you treat our children.
5 to 11. I guess I'm good one of that behind my ears.
Could I do another one?
Yes, Pitamber.
Sure.
Mhm.
And Pitamber, when you're finished, I will ask James to serenade you with 2 verses of his own interpretation.
James, what's up there, buddy?
Your partner. Your partner. Samba boy.
Yeah. All right. This one is called We Shun We Own. When poltergeists say aptum, we come to attention. But talk about we own Baku and we laugh say, who you a fool. Then we take all that telepathy tells, but when we talk about my ears a ring and you walk for your name, we bow we head as if in shame. And don't let tell you how we just enjoy water babies and mermaids, but Oleg and fire us pass for grass. You left me dumbfounded with your seance and trance, and got we making joke with Harley Pulcher and Obia. Yes, we shun we own. Thank you, guys.
Wow. Pitamber, where does Kali Puja thing come from, man?
That's for another session.
James, serenade the man.
Yes, sir. It's a pleasure. I will go to Guyana. I will go deep down to serenade this great patriot and all you guys here for the wonderful job you're keeping culture alive and literature. Dr. Jerome, all you guys are doing a tremendous job. The last poem I shared earlier was Guyana Oozing Oil, and that actually was the last of a series of poems that I call The Awakening, which is a continuation of the legend of Kaichor. So I would like to share the first poem in that series on the continuation, as I call it, of the legend of Kaichor. After hundreds of thousands of years, Kai has spent where the raging black waters of the Potaro vent came that day when Pakaraima relent from the pedestal of the sacred rock sent one drop of water to let flow to awaken Stone Age Kai. And as he gazed above the gorge where glory fly, in iridescent tapestry from the sky, the foundation of the earth shook and the stars flew. Birds of the air trumpeted songs in the morning dew and winged their way across the regal sky's view. Like stars and moons and suns, they grew with bended wings as not to obstruct omnipotence. In a single sentence of reverence, the awakened souls mellowed to the tropical sight and marveled that omnipotence condescend to visit earth that night. And mingling substance of marvelous light arising from the mountain's crest, imbuing night and day the same and the tropicalness, like the waking of a new dawn, like alleluia and soul revival morn, the folding tide of Kaichor immaculate gate that strutted over the rolling savannas and the coastal plate, signal green of forested nature, a crown upon the agricultural state. Kai humbly bow upon his woodskin canoe and cried as he relived the memories of his tribe and looked for his companion in the tide. Under the glorified rainbow sacred sky, where glory called the worlds from on high and covenanted to you and I. There with magnificence God formed the earth, man to live and not to die. For far across the rolling plains and mountains high, where the flowering Pakaraima roam, perch Mount Raima's dome, the flowing valley of crystals spread, liberally overflowing love into lakes, waterfalls, and Kayan's riverbed. to bring from within the peace that mankind most felt, and bow to worship wherein omniscient footstool dwelt. Below the beast of the field graze, where the memories of the Patamona tribe slept, where Kai hoped and wept, where the Karibishi came and dealt the dead blow, and themselves melted into history. This is the essence of my story. In this condition we languished, our vanquished spirit tarried, soaked in blood and pain and false brotherhood. Man against man, brother against brother, misunderstood. Out of the struggles known and unknown, wickedness scorn condone, whipping at the waterways of our soul. Now gaze upon the beckoning white light, even alone. A Savior must be born to deliver. With winds of change come from constant prayer.
Yeah, Guyana oozing oil. Yes, James, I know that well.
Keep oozing.
I know that well, yeah.
Okay, so we have a 5 minutes social now. Open your mics and have a chit chat. And hopefully Shirley Nadram, our main pillar and founder and the secretary, will join us to give the thank you. In the meantime, you can open your mics and have a chit chat.
Right. One thing I like to say is that some of our poets of old used to have their poems put to music, set to music. J.W. Chingapen, A.J. Seymour, and quite a few others. And I'm thinking we should have a project where some of our poems should be put to music. You know, what do you think about a project like that?
Absolutely.
Excellent. I think so. And you know, Patamba, that is an excellent idea. We are really living in the era of audio more than, books, like words in print. And, I find that a lot of people, and young people especially, like the audio, method more of getting information than the print. And I'm not discounting print. I think it's still important, but I think it's definitely something for us to move towards doing something audio. But I might need some coaching because, you got to get your vocal going, right? And rhythm, and you got to pretend you're dancing. And
it comes. You don't do too badly, Janet.
The rhythm is natural.
I actually have 2 CDs of my poetry out, so it's a beautiful rendition. And I saw during the COVID, there's been so much that's been done with poetry and music across the world. You could have somebody singing in Ghana and somebody singing in Guyana, and you could put it together. Like, it's such a beautiful fusion. Peter, open your mic and say something to Pitamber.
we're not hearing you. You have to go to the bottom and unmute.
I do have my poem. 49 of my poem, it came out, and I have to look for the date. It's so long ago. This CD was put in music so many years ago.
Wow.
It's on YouTube as well. On my Facebook page as well. And in fact, the one that I did about Guyana's independence was also done in music. And the one in Guyana's Republic was also done in music. They're all on YouTube.
Wow. Yeah.
And then I have presently, and this guy's a maestro, because he plays for Sparrow and all of that. He's a Guyanese, Philip Nichols. He's the one that have done most of Sparrow's music over the years. And he's now putting my poems on the book of Daniel in the Bible in music right now as we speak.
Wow.
Yeah.
Progressive.
Peter Jailal, you know the darkness, sir.
Yeah, I just wanted to say hello
Peter,
to
like
you,
you're in the
Pitamba.
basement or what?
You look so... No, I'm in the library. I'm in the library. I want to read a poem here for Pitamber.
Yeah, absolutely.
Read the man.
Pitamber, this poem is for my teacher, a real teacher. Her name is Mrs. Ainsworth. And it goes like this. My teacher rests her big black hand on my tiny shoulder, helping me form the ABC on my frameless chocolate slate. She talks softly, pulls the hanging threads from my new shirt collar, the one my ma sewed on Sunday. She inspects my fingernails with ruler in hand. She searches my back pocket for my white hanky. She checks my feet, making sure they shine like black mahogany. I recite after her with proper diction, the land of counterpane. My pa tries to repay her with four-leg plantain
Yeah.
and rice.
Yeah.
This one is
Thank
for
you,
Big
Peter.
Hammer.
You talking about the man saying he ain't paying you with oil money. You got to get some currency. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank everyone for coming tonight and joining us. Our Christmas celebration turned out to be a literary medley of persons who are greatly appreciated and talented and beautiful from around the world. And we have with us Shirley Nadram, who has joined us to do the vote of thanks.
Mhm.
Artist gets to say the last word because only the best comes on the last.
Okay, Habib, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you, Shirley.
Yes.
Hi. Good
Okay.
night, Shirley.
Good night. Good night, everyone. Habib,
Good night.
thank you so much for putting this together. Also, Janet, thank you guys so much. This has been so wonderful for everyone for taking time out of their busy schedule. I really enjoyed all the poems. It was really great to hear everyone. And but Amber, it was really good to see you too. And hopefully we're all meeting Guyana at some time after the pandemic. Anyway, I would just like to say thank you, everyone. Sherry, thank you
Yeah.
very much, emceeing. And
You're welcome.
everyone, you have a great Christmas, a great holiday.
And Merry Christmas to
Yeah.
you. And
Thank you, Shirley. Same to you.
Merry
You're
Christmas, Merry
welcome.
Christmas, happy holidays.
Yep.
Yes.
happy
Yes.
holidays. Good
Yeah,
Happy
night.
Merry Christmas.
holidays.
Shalom.
Good
Thank
Shanti.
night.
you.
Take
Good
care.
night.
Bye bye.
Good night.
Good
Thank
night.
you.
Good night.
Every
Bye
one of
bye.
you. Thank you, James. Thank you, Peter. Thank you,
Good night.
Lisa.
Thank
Thank
you,
you, Francis.
Francis.
Thank you,
Peter,
Shirley. Thank you,
Patamba.
Jeanette.
Nice seeing you, Peter. Nice seeing you, Peter.
Peter.
Yes.
James.
Yeah.
Peter
The
Thank
last
you,
time
Jailam.
I
Lisa.
saw
Night,
you,
everyone.
And nice to meet you
so many years
too,
ago.
Lisa. Nice to meet you, Lisa.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you,
Francis,
Sherry.
Nice to meet all the
You're
Janet,
Francis,
welcome.
Francis,
all the new
Francis,
faces.
Mary,
Okay, you take
Mary,
care. Bye
Thank you,
bye.
Shirley. Thank you, as
All right.
usual. Okay.
Yeah.
Lisa.